Hola, ¿pueden escucharme bien? Hola, chicos, ¿me escuchan? Hola, amigos. Hola. Cool, perfecto, chicos. Pues bienvenidos al Consultancy Space para IGV. Chicos, voy a dar este webinar en inglés, solo para que todos estén como en la misma sintonía por posibles aplicantes extranjeros, entonces para que sea pues mejor para todos. Cool. Liz, si quieres darle como refresh, pero pues la mayoría me escucha, entonces ya está. Okay, so guys, welcome to the Consultancy Space of IGV. So first, I'm gonna share my screen because I'm not sharing anything. Okay, so first, can you see my screen? Yes, cool. So welcome to the Consultancy Space. For the ones who don't know me, I'm the MCP IGV. I'm Tamara Rosales, and I'm also the MCP ELEC for the next term. So in this consultancy space, we are going to discuss just a part of IGV. So if you have any other doubt about the MC process or about the vision as for the next year as MCS and the whole network, please just wait for the next webinar of MCP's consultancy that is going to be on Monday, so you can ask all the questions you have. So we are going to focus right now just in IGV. So okay, so we are going to review the context, the status, the vision and the national goal for this term, the future, the MCPP experience, and then we are going to have space for Q&A. So the first thing is about the context. It's important for you to know, like since 2015, the network of IGV nationally, it's called Storymakers. This story is basically of what we are doing as IGV. We are the ones who are creating not just exchange experience or volunteer experience, but we are the ones who are creating all the story for all the enablers we work with, for the NGOs, for the startups that give us a budget for working and also for the EPs. And most important, I believe is for the people who actually is delivering those experiences. So talking a little bit about the context, in MC 2015, there it was called VIVE. The number of APDs it was 1,163, realizations 1,380, and completes 94. And I'm sorry, this is opposite. This is help, and then this is 2016, and then 2015. Because in 2015 we didn't count completes yet because of expa, so that's why it's zero there. So it's 5 under and half in the top. In 2016, the goal of APDs was 1,753, realizations 897, and zero completes for all the things that I already mentioned about. Okay, talking about this year, as well, IGV for this term, it has an exceptional thing. It was like our MCBP IGV it's supposed to start on August. She couldn't start the term with us, so we have a reallocation on the team, and it was in September when I started to be MCBP IGV. So for those things, many things on the first semester didn't went well in terms of allocation of people, in terms of how everything was managed, because we lost 1 month for make the planning and for make the team happen. Nevertheless, this is the goal in APDs, rest and completes that we had for this year. So we have a goal of APDs of 1,980 APDs, of realization 1,480, and incomplete 700 is yeah 700 yeah 740. The complete is the 50% of the realizations that we want to achieve. That's the percentage we are going to use it, because so far that's how the entities are moving on. There is no a path right now of having the completes, because this is the first year that we are working with. And so what is the goal for this semester? Taking into consideration the goals that we achieved in the first semester, the goals of APDs for 2018 one is 1,130, in realizations is 960, and incomplete 480. In terms of realization, it's more or less the 70% of the realizations of the year should happen in summer. Right now, the national structure is divided into MCBs, one MCB coach and one MCB product evolution. The MCB coach has under history the coaches that are coaching tier 4, tier 5, and tier attention. And in the part of product evolution, we have the part of host family, sales, IR, attraction, and standards tracker. That is according to the drivers that we have for this year, that is faster, professional, and sustainable. The drivers of the MC Neon is faster, better, faster, and sustainable. In the part of IGV, we change better for professional, because professional is one of the most things that we wanted to implement this year. That means standardization of process, standardization of tools, standardization of how the network is moving as one in all ISEC in Mexico. So moving a little bit with this, talking about how we are working in the region that is Americas. Our main suppliers in regarding cooperations is Brazil, Colombia, and Canada. In Europe is Italy, Poland, and Germany. In MEA, we can say it's Egypt, but we don't have a really huge supply from them. And in AP is China. Somehow this semester was more or less because we have some visa issues, but most of the Thailand, it's China. It's a really good option for AP. In terms of how we are doing on process timing, and this is something that it was updated today, is how regionally in Americas the entities are working with process time. So there is tier A, B, C, and D. Tier A is the one who are making less than 10 days from open to approval. Then tier B from 10 to 15. Then tier C from 15 to 20. And tier D more than 20 days to make things happen. So in the part of IGV, we are in tier C, but we are really close to be on tier D. This is making the average from the whole entity. And we are taking between 15 and 20 days to make an approval happen. Of course, this timing is quite slow. So one of the proposals for this semester is to improve that lag time, but for sure it's going to be one of the focus points for the next term. So, what about the future and how, taking into consideration what happened the first semester and what we are planning to make for the next semester, could be a good vision for IGV 2018-19. I divided in 6 topics. So, the first one is macro projects. Something that IGV in Mexico is not used to is to have these big projects that are running by national level. So it's like to having account managing as a strong part of making the professionalization of IGV. So that could be one of the biggest future of IGV, because it will allow us to work with really big partners that can work not just with one LC, but maybe with at least three LCs. Could be from the same region or not. It depends how big and how much budget can we make from this micro project. The second thing is the standardization of the process. One of the goals for this semester is to have at least the 50% of the standardization of the process, of the timings, of the customer flow inside IGV. So the idea is like by the end of 2018, the standardization goes to the 80%, because we are already in the path that we are like we are not growing, because we are already reached like a kind of a top, but not because we cannot handle anymore. It's because we need to review how are we making our process in a more efficient and sustainable way. The third thing is like right now we are not an LC that an entity that has an LC that can be top regional. Actually, it has been really hard. I believe in 2014, 2015, we have one entity who was on the at least on the top five regionally speaking, but right now we don't have it. So the ideal it was like by the end of the term of the MC 2018-2019, we could have at least 12 LCs being top regional, in top 5, or maybe in top 7. Also, to be a top and complete, one of the biggest gaps that we are having right now is a conversion rate we have from finish to complete. We have a really good conversion rate from acceptance to approve, and from approve to realize, where we are having a bottleneck between finish and complete. So the idea is like for the next semester and for the next term, complete could could improve at least 80% of how we are converting our finish. The next one is talking about host family. Familia Global, that is the brand that we use in Mexico, is one of the projects that we need to develop the most. Why? Because we are finding really hard in some LCs to really achieve the goal of having the host families on time. So it needs to work as a, maybe not as a national project, but for sure as an IGV project for the next semester and for the whole year. And last one, but not less important, is the part of lead nurturing. That is something that OGV already has, and it has been working with it for the last 2 years. But in OGV, it hasn't been strong enough. So the part of lead nurturing that can be working with the EPs, so the EPs can receive a mailing more constant and automatized about how the opportunity will be in their own in their own LC. For example, for instance, we will have once the EP is approved, once the EP is realized, once the EP is finished, a lead nurturing that can give us information about how the experience of the EP is going and was, and also how can the EP can be more informed about all the situations of the project and nationally also speaking. So those 6 topics are just, are like 6 really bullet points that I believe are the next evolution for IGV. But it will be depends a lot on which project from AI are we gonna take, about how globally the network is gonna move. But for sure, if we move at least on 3 of those 6 projects, IGV in Mexico can evolve a lot. And in the term of MCVP experience, I try to focus on 5 things that are mandatory, or that are like maybe that happen in a daily basis for an MCVP IGV. So an MCVP IGV, or actually an MCVP ICX, has more stakeholders to work with, because you need to be with the network, you need to be taking care of all the NGOs or all the organizations you are working with, also with the EPs, and also with the country partners you work with, plus the host family. So you have a lot of stakeholders to work with, and you need to divide your team, your commission, and yourself to try to work with them the most possible and in the more efficient way. So the first one, and one of the most important thing, because that's what exchange may happen, is the part of IR. So IR is something we make daily basis. Is from talking to the MCBP from your biggest corporation, or check that in the WhatsApp groups everything is happening, or check how is being the promotion for the EP. It's something like it happens in daily basis. The second thing is the management of the stakeholders. Already, as I said, as we have many of the stakeholders, we need to have a tracking tool for each one of them, and it gets complicated when you have 40 entities to track. So you need to be really smart in the way you track your team, and also in the way you are measuring their own stakeholder management in the local level. In the third way, it comes the commission management, because at the end, what makes IGV happen is the commission. It's all your VPs, it's all your people that is working in the local committees, and you need to be with them, because they will have doubts, because they will have consultants every day, because they will have trouble, because they will have problems. So it's also a huge part of the day when you need to be as a commission manager. Plus the part of having your NSTs also following the line of what the strategy comes nationally. The fourth thing, and that comes for the two main synergies I believe an HGV person should have, is the part of finance and the part of B2B. And the part of finance, not just in the part of sustainability, but also in the parts of legality. To take care that all the documents we ask for, like ACB, is taking care of the cases we have, to try to solve before everything goes to national level. Also the part of having the financial goal as MCBP complete, or at least really near each month. And the second is the B2B strategy. One of the biggest strategies an MCP PSGP should have is how this this network is gonna attract the best profiles they can have. So this is just gonna make sense if we have a really strong synergy with the B2B person, or the marketing, the digital marketing, or the marketing person who is gonna be working with IGB or with ICX. And the five that makes let's say a merge of everything behind, is the part of time management. And with this, it's just because before you being an MCVP of any area, and before to being an MCVP at GV, you will be an MC. So this also will take time from your day. So it will be the normal duties of an MCVP, to have the meetings with network, to have the meetings with, I don't know, of synergies and so on. And you will need to divide the day in those five things. That's how the MCVP experience of an LGB of can be, or will be, like if you really focus on at least five things per day. In a really briefly way, that's a little bit about how a GB network is behaving so far, how the numbers are moving, how are we moving in the regional level. So if you have any question, please, you can go to the link that I put in the chat. Also, if you don't have it, just give me a second. Okay, cool. So, how many stakeholders are you working with for from national for national projects? So far, right now, we don't have national projects. That's something it's inside of my planning for this semester, but I'm not pretty sure we are gonna achieve it. It's not a priority, to be honest. It's a nice to have because right now there is many other things as a basic things that we need to focus that I would like to leave to my successor, a more standardized and more professional department before to having all the national projects. But for sure, a national project should be something that happens. If not from this semester or maybe from the next one, in the next year should happen, yes or yes. um, okay, so the question is, I will translate in English, is if the focus of PD from the for the next year it has IGV inside of them. I still don't know because that will came in planning, but for sure it's gonna have a really strong part of CSR. Right now, PD it's focusing more in GT and in OGB for the part of PD youth. So most probably we can work on CSR as a little bit more than what we have been working right now, but that will come on planning because it will depend on part of the transition and also on the plan of all the MC as a focus product, whatever we will take. Okay, I'm gonna answer the questions that are on the tool. So the first one is, which is the vision you have for 2018-19 as MCBP current, IGB, and MCP elect? Well, I think the vision um, can be the one that I have here. I mean, it's quite a combination between the the evolve of being faster, professional, and sustainable. So, how faster are we at the end of this year? How professional are we, and how sustainable are we? Something that I would like for any product or any area for the next year is like we should build for what is built right now. So it will depend on how on which is gonna be the focus of the entity by then. That I will believe we will be already faster enough and maybe professional enough, but maybe not sustainable enough because sustainable we will take more time. So maybe that could be a really strong focus, or it could be maybe national projects that, as I already said, we don't have it so far. So IGV should be one of the products that should be growing the most, and in many terms, in quality, in quantity, and also in how regionally are we seen as main country partners, because so far right now there is some entities that have already taken some market that we used to had, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years ago. And for macro projects, we don't have right now, as I already said. It's not a priority. It will be a nice to have if by the next 2 months we can have a stronger basing based on the basic things on the network. Okay, so which is the percentage of accomplishment of a standard in Mexico, and what are we working to increase complete? Okay, the percentage of accomplishment actually is not a slow. It's more or less we have 14, yeah, 14 under 16. So that's why we are an entity who is having a complete bat. What is happening is like we don't make the follow up of the EP. So many of the finish we have are not being completed, not because we don't have the standards, not because we are missing of the standards, it's because we are not having the follow up of filling the survey of exit, and to fill in the NPS. So it's one of the biggest facts that we are having so far. But it's most of the EPs have 14 under 16, and maybe it will be like an 85% that is in that path. Is there okay? I already have Henry's question. Is there a plan and strategy for this semester in synergy with finance for making the IGV operations more sustainable, or maybe will be the focus point for the next term? Yeah, well, the strategy that we have so far right now, it's like in the part of the transition the VPs elect had, it was mandatory to have the budget for IGV and for IGV, and they need to review with the MCVP, with the VP Finance, and MCVP Finance and I, we will review if that budget is accurate or not. The second is the focus we have on sales. Right now we are going to have a really strong focus on how people is selling and how they can improve the profit they are getting from the stakeholders to make IGV more sustainable. Yeah, and the third thing is maybe on national level that we are gonna try to make CSR happen, but it's not one of the priorities for the semester. As most of you know, we cannot implement all the strategies just in 6 months. So, for instance, we have a sales focus, and the second is a strong synergy between MCVP Finance and MCVP RGV twice a week to review the budget in the local level they couldn't make in the last 2 weeks. Is OFIC a priority for next term? Yes. I mean, what is a priority is to understand the timeline we are working with. We right now we are not understanding the timeline we are having because we are still working in a timeline where we say, okay, from let's put an example. From January to March, I sell, and then from March to May, I make approvals, and then from June to August, I make value delivery, and then the cycle starts again. There is few LCs that most of them are the ones who are in cluster one or cluster two that have the ability or they already have the expertise to open opportunities from 1 year ahead. So that's when OFIC actually start working because they can focus on a complete timeline of year, but not most of the LCs doesn't have. So I think before you can focus on topic, you need to focus on how network is perceiving timeline. That's for sure a focus for this year. So maybe for the next semester, if the timeline is already matched with the network, the off-peak can increase. And also to be focused on off-peak, we will need to have a strong IR in terms of peak because we are still not dominating the IR for peak. So after we can also master that, we will be able to focus on IR for off-peak because it's more complicated to get. Okay, guys, I don't know if you have more questions. Yeah, someone is writing. Amazing. Uh, okay, the question is, do you think it's important to track the BPs differently to ensure the standardization of the process? No, I think the track should be equal, but I think how you downscale strategy should be different. That is two different things. I mean, the line between those two things that I already said, it's really thin. But one thing is like, okay, you should track the PP in the same way. I mean, you should measure them with lag and lead measures in the same way. Approvals, realizations completes, sales or postings or whatever you want to make your lead measures and your lag measures. That's the part of the tracking that should be the same. But in the moment you want to downscale a strategy of sales, for example, or a strategy of host family, it will be depends a lot on how much the LC can handle, or which is the tier of the LC, which is the expertise of the LC. Because if you are talking with an LC that already has the expertise to make a sales of 100 EPs, it's gonna be different from the one who is just starting their first sales meeting. So that's where the difference is, and it's something that we are working right now in terms of having coaching for each one of the tiers, and that's how you downscale the information, but you track them in the same way. Someone else is writing. Okay, someone is writing, so I will wait for that. Okay, guys, 2 minutes if you want to make any other question. Okay, so the question of Danny is, which is the percentage of accomplishment of the standards in Mexico? Okay, that's what I was trying to explain. There is not a percentage because it's really complicated to get, but what can I say is like 85 of the completes that we have right now is because they have 14 under 16 standards accomplished. The other ones have the whole. And from that percentage of completes and not completes, the percentage of finish that we have incomplete, it's maybe the 30% or less. So just 30% of the person who is in finish is getting complete. And from those 30%, 85% of the completes are 40 under 16, and the other ones are 16 under 16. I don't know if that answered the question or. No, okay. So, anyways, I will answer the question here, even though I already answered them by speaking, but I will answer them here after the consultancy space. So you have it, and also people who couldn't be in the consultancy space could see the answers. And well, that's everything from my side. Guys, you have my contact, you have my WhatsApp, you have my mail. If you have any other really focused question, please don't hesitate on ask. Most probably I'm not gonna have enough time to have like a really like 1 hour talk, but if you have any really focused question, please don't hesitate to tell me or to write me a mail. And the last thing that I want to say is one of the models of story makers is we make stories, no excuses. So I really wish you the best of luck in this application and in this new journey that you want to start. And in any part of the application or in this journey, just don't put any excuse and make the story happen. So that's all for me. And take care. See you soon.